All right, we are in the Coastal Cliffs tournament. It's Tuesday's qualifying round. I ran a practice round this morning. I have some base notes. I haven't had a chance to watch the video to see how I set the shots up, but I was able to get the minimum score. I didn't pick anything up. I think I hit like 2 shots perfect into the cup and they didn't go in. So the ones that I really had a shot at, I didn't hit perfect, so I have no clue. But I am ready to roll here. Hole number 1. And what I did on hole number 1 was I hit here's the rough grass and here's the fairway, and I rolled up against the rough, and it stopped me from getting into the rough. I don't know how I wasn't in the rough. And I'm going to take one topspin off. I'm going to take my big topper and a kingmaker. Big topper and a kingmaker. Number 3 bag with a kingmaker. I'm going to do all of it except, well, you can play this with a Titan because you're running so much topspin you can't get all of the side spin. So might as well save myself a kingmaker and take a Titan, the king of balls. Enter the tournament. Rookie. Here we roll. Okay. I think you need to do at least a plus 10, maybe a little bit more on the drive. But at least a plus 10. And I'm going to have to... My big topper in my 77 account, my practice account, hits at 219. It's a level 6. And here I've got a level 7 and hits 225. So I may have to pull back a little bit from the red line and run one less topspin. Short shooting a little. Hitting it perfect. See if my opponent can get out there where they want. Ooh, didn't pull it correctly. Eyeballed it and didn't pull it enough. Okay, one less than max topspin. That gets me 2 side spin. I'm going to pull back to the plus 6 mark. Going to be 3 rings of separation off of that. What I'm looking for is that second bounce to make sure that second bounce is hitting the fairway. 4.5 times 1.1 divided by 2.1. 2.35 rings. Better hurry before I run out of time. Hitting it perfect. What happened on my... There's a hollow down in there, and you can hit that and get the slide where it slides across and kind of picks up a little bit of speed. So definitely one less top than max topspin. Definitely. And I pulled back to the plus 6 mark. Plus 6. And I pulled back to the plus 9 mark with my level 6 big topper. Gave me a little teeny bit of room for headwind days. Now I'm going to try and take the shot straight up. I practiced this yesterday. Let's see where I'm at. I'm right at max rapier, so it's 3.5 divided by 1.2. 2.91 rings. Use one backspin. .91 rings. There's 2. 9.1. Maybe 9.4. Isn't it perfect? What's funny is that we should be taking a little bit of wind. In the past, we have taken some wind off. Hold on. All right. Spam calls. I get like 17 spam calls a day on average. You'd think that our phone companies would not want the network clogged up with all these spam calls. But if they're making money off of all the spam calls, then that's why they let them go through. Picked one up. Now, in the past, on that hole right there, that shot to the cup, we've taken off like -5, -10%. But I tried that yesterday. I did a practice on hole number 1 and took off 10%, hit it perfect, and didn't pull it enough. It's strange. You're definitely from that spot. I mean, the green's up here and you're down here. I mean, if you measured this distance, shit, I must be 15 or 20 feet below the cup. So if elevation was truly elevation, you would be taking some wind off. That's why I say that elevation's all BS. BS. Hole number 2. Hole number 2. What is hole number 2? All right, I tried the rough bump here, and it is definitely a G-string rough bump. I mean, you were one ring in, and today the wind is blowing, I think, in this direction. But if the wind's blowing from any side over here that's going to affect the sand, you're going to have to deal with the sand. So I'm not sure, like 50% of the time you may have to contend with the sand, and you really got to be right here. So like if you were here, you could work out some days where the wind's blowing in this direction, and you could kind of limit how much the wind could affect you. But I think there's going to be too many days where I'd have to work with the sand, and you really have to hit that perfect. I'm gonna switch to this shot. This is the shot that I've taken in the past a lot, and there's a flat spot right here where you're very close. You're like 2 rings of separation off of this transitional surface, but you have plenty of room to work out the wind. Doesn't matter which way the wind's going, and try and run it up there. The problem is that you get bounce number 1, bounce number 2, and then you got to roll through all this shit movement that's on the green, and it's really easy to get off trajectory. But we will see. We'll see. I haven't taken that shot this week so far, so we'll see how it happens. I'm going to take a quasar. And a sniper. I believe it's with a sniper. I think it's a minimum sniper as well. Now, from the rough bump, you needed to do like 15% plus 0.1 or 17.5% if you're doing hand math, or 20% minus 0.1. It was definitely more than 15, but it was less than 20. So 17.5 kind of worked out the deal. But if you're using 15 and you're doing that rough bump, that's probably a pretty good spot to start. All right, here we go. Let's get that ball. Let's get that chest rolling. Rolling. I'm going to try the 17.5 from here, but I'm not sure that that's... I'm not as close to the cup, so I'm not sure that the elevation, or that... I should quit saying elevation. We should all quit saying elevation. The adjustment that we need to make based off of whatever Playdemic's forcing us to do. Okay, there's min. There's max, there's mid, so I'm pretty close to mid. I'm in between mid and minimum. .7 divided by 1.1. 3.95 rings. Out of 4. Hitting it perfect. I should have turned it around and pushed the wind out. Yeah, the ball guide was not lying. A 3 side spin ball would work out better there. And the deal is, if I'd have brought a katana, Let me make a note here. Katana. That would, number one, have pushed me towards minimum club because it pushed the red line forward. So I'd have been more at min instead of in between mid and min. And it would have gave me the 3 side spins, so I could have swung it around to the hole. Because they got to be right at man. I want to try and avoid doing what they're doing where they're getting up on that hill. Now, what's weird there is that they pushed it forward and a little bit to the left, and they just need that. I just do not understand how people are eyeballing it. Because that ball definitely looks like it's going to miss just like it did. This game has been out for long enough, and the wind ring method. So the game came out in what, February, March 2017. And the wind ring method, I started playing in May of 2017, and I was on vacation. I decided I liked this game. I was going to play a golf game. I downloaded every golf game that I could find at the time, and this is the one that sparked my interest. And I decided that I would only play it if I could find out some way to work out the wind, because the wind was definitely affecting the ball. And the wind ring method came out like shit either in May or June, like the kid who figured it out, May or June of that year. So June of 2017. So it's been, what, 6 years that the wind ring method's been out? You think that people would have... Now, I will say that I started using the wind ring method pretty early, and there is a learning curve because you got to spin it around, and you got to move the rings and do all the stuff, and so there is a little bit of a learning curve on it, but it's worth learning. Otherwise, you're, in that situation, the wind was blowing like this, and my opponent pushed it forward. They pushed it like this in this angle, so they were way far forward in the shot, and they didn't really take out the side wind. That's why, the pin's here, and they ended up so far to the right, and they ended up long because they pushed it long, and they didn't pick up the wind. So, you could see how they moved it with the wind. If nothing else, at least spin it sideways so that you can see which way the wind's going, and then eyeball it if you don't want to do an actual measurement. That way, at least you're pulling in the absolute direction of the wind. Jeez, guys, come on. Hole number 3. Hole number 3. Okay, I'm taking my number 2 bag. You can play this with I'm going to play it with a Titan today. Hole number 3. I'll play it with a Titan. Kingmaker works better. You can just cut the wind down a little bit, but you don't necessarily need to play it with. You don't need the side spin so much, but it does help cut the wind down. And the drive you can take, if you're using a 3-power ball, you want to bring your most accurate stuff. Now, a lot of people will play this probably with a quarterback, which hits 10 yards, 11 yards, 7 yards less than this rock. So you will be pinched up a little bit down on the bottom. As far as on the first shot, as far as where your red line's at. Now, you can see the little indentations on the course down there. What you don't want is for your second bounce to be going in that divot on the downhill side, because what will happen is it'll bounce number 1, bounce number 2, it'll hit that, and it'll slide, and you can end up overshooting this because it picked up the slide. You want to hit at the top of that mound. And it only takes a couple topspin. Did I write it down? No. 2. Well, I wrote down 2, but I actually think I used a little more than 2. I think with a quarterback, your red line's back in this area. I'm going to pull back to the +6 mark. That gives me a little bit of room on the red line. Do 1.5 topspin. Let's pull that back just a titch. the +5 mark. 4-1. That's as low as I can get, so I'm going to do 4-4. I'm going to lean just a little bit to the left. Hitting it perfect. Could have put a little teeny bit more on that. +5 mark. Anytime you can, it's better if you're on those shots instead of putting on one backspin this time and then the next time the wind's blowing headwind and you got to put on a little bit of topspin and you got to change it around. It's better to pull back from the red line. Give yourself room so that on headwind days you can work the wind out and try and get it, like on headwind days you might add on an extra half a tick of topspin. And on tailwind days you might use 1.5 on tailwind days and you might use 2 on headwind days. It does seem like there's a slight adjustment that we need to do on this second shot, but I cannot remember whether we're taking a little bit of wind off or we're adding a little bit of wind on. I'm going to pull back just a little. You see how it's falling off to the cup? .29. I'm just going to take a straight up shot. Let's just start with a straight up shot. I didn't hit it perfect earlier. There's 2-9. Hitting it perfect. I'm awake now. I was barely awake when I started earlier. Just a bit outside, and I overpulled that. Maybe I overpulled it. Maybe. I'll try taking a little bit of wind off and see if it comes in inside of that. But it does break right at the very end. So like if you try and run it where you're absolutely straight to the cup, it's going to roll off to the right. It breaks at the very end. It does. All right, hole number 4. My notes say sniper nav. 3 3/4 backspin. Let's check it out. I don't even remember what hole this is. Hole number 4. Hole number 4. Okay. Man, this is not my favorite par 3. My goal on this par 3 is to just get my birdie and move the hell along. This is a danger. Like, you can give yourself a shot at it, but you definitely do not want to be super aggressive on this hole because this hole can eat your lunch. Sniper nav. I'm not sure that I was at Max Club, and I have no idea what kind of, if I need to do an adjustment on it, what that adjustment is, but it seemed like I was in mid-club. Definitely got the wind going for us, and it rolls out more than you think it is. Like you put the little bit of backspin on there and you think it's going to stop it, but it does want to roll out. I think in my practice round I ran like 3 and a sliver of backspin, but I added on to it because it did roll out a little. And I believe I was in mid-club. Let me write that down, mid-club. Mid-club is 1.1. Straight up. Opponent hitting it with a Marlin. Perfect. El perfecto. That's going to be off the back. And there's max, or excuse me, there's min. There's max, there's mid. Three and 3/4. .5 divided by 1.1. That's as close as I can get. So I'm just going to do the 3/5. That'll be a 10%. That'll add on 10%. And it looks like we probably need to add on more than 10. Hitting it perfect. Could get a little bit closer. If I ran my ball guide all the way to the cup and it rolled off the back. I ran the 3 and a sliver of backspin. I put on a little bit more backspin there and I laid up in front of it to see if it would roll out when it's up there on the flat. And it obviously will not roll out when it's on the flat. But I could get a little closer. I would rather, this is one of those holes that I think if you go long on it, it's going to be almost every time you go long, you're going to roll off the back. And if you have any speed, you're going to roll off the back and you're going to be in deep, deep, deep doo-doo. That it'd be better to just like be short and continue to work on your trajectory to make sure that you can get, trying to get it in. I mean, obviously I'd like to make a hole-in-one, but some of these par 3s, we'd all like to make hole-in-ones, but they can eat your lunch if you get too aggressive with them. And there's nothing worse than failing on a par 3. You can get on a par 4 and a par 5 and you can screw your drive up, but you could still recover. You still got more shots. But a par 3, you screw up the drive, you're toast. Toast. There is no place to hide. Hole number 5. All right. Now I got this shot done earlier today, and I was down in this area right here, and there is a rough bump that you can do with a sniper. But it is a difficult shot to set up. I think that most people during the week, like you're going to see a lot of people hitting down in here, but I think you're going to see a lot of people hitting right here as well, and you've got to make sure that you make that freaking fairway pad if you're laying it up. If you're hitting down here, I think the big fail area is going to be along this side, because as you're cruising down this way, it's narrowing up on the left-hand side, so you're going to run out of fairway. Hold on one second. Hold on. Freaking spam calls are killing me. Killing me. All right. All right. Let me see. Let me think. Let me think. I'm going to bring a Titan because I want to get as much topspin on there as I can, and if I bring a Kingmaker, I'm not going to be able to get as much topspin on. So let's bring a... You can use your APOC for sure, and I think most people are going to use their APOC. I've got my big topper's got that extra 6 yards of distance on it. I like the 83 curl, but the 98 curl will probably be the way to go. And you get up there a little bit so you don't have to do an overpower shot. Okay, let's try it with an APOC. Let's try it. Let's try it with an APOC. And I think with an Apocalypse, I might be able to get on all of the side spin because of how much topspin I have. You got a level 7 APOC. I don't think you can get on all the topspin and the side spin, but with a level 6, I think you can get close. Close. And a bigger power ball would help you out here because you won't have to do any overpower. I'm going to try it with a Titan, or excuse me, with a Kingmaker. And we'll see how it works. It's difficult because if you get caught up way down at the bottom, you can recover. But if you get caught up at the top, you are in a world of shit. I'm at the 5 mark. I'm at the +5 mark. Three rings off. 3, 4. It's 1.5 per ring. I'm going to do, there's 3. I'm going to do a little over that. Isn't it perfect? That's probably going to clip right here. I could go out 3.5 rings, maybe 4. So with an APOC at the +5 mark, 4 rings off. Kingmaker. I think from down there I can recover. I think. This is good information to know, because if you do screw this up and you're down that far, you know, can you recover or can't you recover? It's always good to know that, because then you won't be freaked out when you're in the round and you're like, holy shit, now I'm in a bad spot. My opponent's got it. There you go. Perfect. Perfecto. Get a little bit of roll down that hill. They should have a rough bump from there. A little bit farther and you can clear that sand, but I think they have a nice little rough bump. Nice. Nice rough bump. I am not going to be able to make it over that sand. No dice. So let's just lay it up so we can give ourselves at least a really good shot at it. 2.4. There's 2, 4. That should stick me onto the fairway. Still got some serious work to get done. Now you're pretty flat. I mean, as far as like making some adjustment, you're pretty much the same level as the cup. So you should be able to, from that distance, make a straight up shot, and I'm probably in max wedge. Maybe minimum short iron. My opponent did make it. They got a power 3 ball. They did make it to the rough bump area. And they did a big pull there. It looked like more than 1.7 to me. And they hit a grade. All right, let's get this work done. What are we at? We're in Kingfisher. We're in minimum Kingfisher, which is 2.1 per ring. 1 backspin. 2.3 divided by 2.1 is 1.1 rings. It's 1, 1. Hitting it perfect. Get in the hole! Woo! Recovered. That have sucked. That's one of those holes I should have practiced on because I was using my big topper in my other account. And here I opted to hit with my APOC so I didn't have to do any overpower. All right. So I know what the deal is there. So I set that shot up in this area right here, and I gave myself 3 rings of separation off this transitional surface. And with the curl that was on there, I over curled it into the rough. So I need to push the shot out in this direction in order to clear the fairway. So instead of being 3 rings off, I'll be 4 rings off, which will move the shot to the left and open up the fairway. Then once I take that shot, if I can hit that shot perfect and see where I'm at, if I roll down through this part of the fairway, then I'll change that to 4.5 rings, because where I really want to be is right down the center. That way, if I hit a great to the left, I've still got fairway. If I hit a great to the right, I've still got fairway. And a great to the left is problematic because it won't be problematic running down the fairway, but what'll happen is you'll run out of fairway and you'll end up right here in the rocks. A great to the right won't be too bad. So trying to open it up, I'm setting the shot up. So why wouldn't I want to set the shot up so that if I don't hit it perfect, I still have a chance of it ending up in the same damn spot? All right, recovered. Hole number 6. All right. So in my odd account, in my practice account, I demoed the shot going this way. And I did a max overpower hook shot. And I think I used a katana and my rock. But what I think I might do here is demo this shot, just so you guys can see it coming this way. It does help to have lots of, like, if it doesn't, whatever club you have that has the most curl, whether that be a QB, an APOC, your rock, whatever, your big topper, whatever club, whichever one of these clubs has the most curl, that's the one. And now there's a yardage marker out here, and you can use that yardage marker because it doesn't matter which club you hit. If you bring out a 3 side spin ball, you want to use that yardage marker as your kind of just because you brought out a big hitting club doesn't mean you need to be at the end. You need to pull back so that you can allow for your curl to get in the zone. Let me hit that shot over to that side. I've been working on the shot to the other side the last few times, but let me see here. I'm gonna bring my rock, and that's definitely a shot you have to practice with whatever clubs you have in your bag. Don't let anybody tell you this is the only way you can do it, because that's the only way you can do it with their clubs. Hold on. All right, I'm back. Let's make sure I got my right stuff. Kingmaker. I'm not so sure if I'm going to the left that I couldn't use a katana. I know on the max overpower hook shot I'm doing on the other side, I'm using a katana, so you might be able to use a katana on this side as well. I can't remember. It's been a long time since I did the shot on the left. I see a lot of people try and take that shot on the left and they're using a extra mile, and it's like, I love extra miles. Everybody does. We've all used them. It has its place, but doing curl shots is not what the extra mile's for. And you can get it down with a quarterback, and a quarterback's got more curl. All right, Zach goes first. And you're so far forward in your shot right there that it just seems to me like that shot's gonna, and they hit it great to the left. It just seems to me that that's gonna roll off the top, just like that. You got to put, it's a max curl shot. What part of this are you not getting? Max curl. That's why you brought a curl club. Okay, 3 rings off where that sign's at. I'm not sure I can run all the topspin. I'm going to try running all the topspin. See if I can catch the hill. And I don't normally when I do max curl shots, I like to give myself 3 rings of separation, but I'm going to give myself 2. 3.1. I'm going to do 3.3. We'll see if that's too much topspin. Getting it perfect. Trying to roll up the hill and roll down, and that's from that side over there. That's about as good as it gets. Like, you can get a little bit closer. You can, if you got if you had a club that had a little more topspin, if you were using an APOC where it has a little bit more topspin than your rock or your QB. But the curl is key. Key. With the max overpower hook shot on the right hand side, you can get right off the green or on the green. I'm right at max club. So I'm right at mid club if I'm here. So it's 2.9 divided by 2.4, 1.2 rings. I'm definitely downhill. But I'm just going to do the 1, 2. Hitting it perfect. In hole. So you can make it from over there, but you could give yourself that little side hill, downhill deal right there. You can't, it's hard to get close to the ring set, so you have to make a ring adjustment from, where you can't get absolutely precise where you can get down and count the blades of grass. If you were going to do that, it would have been better if I had a little bit more topspin to try and get, because you're rolling down the hill, and down here it's flat, and I was on the side of that hill. It would have been nice to have just a little teeny bit. My trajectory as far as like coming around the bend was fine. If I'd had a little bit more topspin, I don't think that I would have risked rolling off, and I could have maybe gotten down here into the flat a little bit more and maybe cut the distance from where I was at. But if you come around and do the max overpower hook shot, so what I did on the max overpower hook shot was I brought a katana and I used a rock, and I set up where my blue ring was on the outside of this transitional surface. So I had my ring set where my blue ring was here, and you got your ring set in, and my white ring was as close to the rocks as I could get it for that trajectory. And I had max topspin, max side spin, max overpower, or max hook, not an overpower shot, just a max hook shot, max curl. And it rolled right down the center the first time I took it. And the second time I took it, I was forward in the shot just a little bit. I had a little bit of separation between my white ring and the rock, and I ended up coming through fine, but I ended up in the rough right back here in the back. So if you move it back a little bit so that your white ring is either touching the rock or as close as you can possibly get it. And then, because there's not really any markers out here, like as far as like landmark stuff, so just trying to blue ring off of the transitional surface, white ring as close to the rock as possible, max curl to bring it up. You can end up either right off or right on the green. Whereas I think if you come this way, it is going to be difficult to try and get on the green. You're always going to have a little bit of work to do when you get done. It's one of the reasons why I switched to the shot to the right hand side, because you could get closer, and the work that you still had to get done was easier work. All right, hole number 7. Not my favorite par 3 in the game. I'm going to bring a Guardian. I used a sniper earlier, and I did. You got to use. There's a certain point when you're using a sniper that you're putting on backspin where it's like it becomes uncomfortable. And I'm going to bring a katana. And I'm bringing a katana because of the side spin. Like, you really need 3 side spin. You really need more if you want to hit. I think if you had like a 4 side spin ball, one of the problems on this is this right here. You can see where the shadow starts. So it's rolling off on this, and it's flat, rolling off. And you really want to be up here on the flat. And if you got a sniper and you put on like almost all of its backspin, you're right here at the spot in order to get like a 2 side spin ball even getting close to the cup, and you still have to involve that dastardly word curl. But with a 3 or a 4 side spin ball, you might actually be able to come off just a little bit over here where you give yourself a little bit more room in the flat and then bring it around. And you got a little bit more room to work with, and you give yourself some separation from the sand. I don't have any like 4 side spin balls, so I think I have one that's the 0 power, but I don't have any other low wind balls that are side spin. Yeah, the only ones I got are those 0 power 4 and 5 side spin balls, and I don't really want to waste one of those. This is not my favorite hole in the game, but I think we do need to do a big adjustment on it. I'm going to do plus 30 times whatever the wind is, and I wasn't at max club, but I did a max ring adjustment, so we'll see what it looks like with the Guardian, because I got to be with a 2 power ball probably eking towards mid, maybe even minimum. And with my Guardian, where is my Guardian? It's 111315. Where am I at? Club. Okay, there's max. And there's min. So I'm at about mid club. Well, if I did, man, I feel like I need to do divided by 1.1. I'm going to do a max adjustment even though I'm at mid club, and let's see what happens with that. There's 5, 2. Oh, then I hit it great. And I hit it great to the left, and it came in great to the left. What I don't like about having to move it where I moved it in order to get it so that it gets a run to the cup and I don't have to add curl is I was only 2 rings off of that sand. So any day the wind's blowing from the right to the left, that only gives me 2.2 wind, and then I have to start dealing with the sand. That's why I'm saying like a 4 side spin ball or a bigger side spin ball, so that you can move off more to the left and then bring it around to the right. And that was a big pull there, boy. And you know, that 30%, that'd be like 4.2, and that hits like, that was like 6 rings. Seemed like it was a big pull. Didn't come in like it was a big pull, but then again, that's a big ball. I'll be happy on this hole if I just walk out every time with a birdie. I get my birdie and move along. Let other people fail on this hole. Of the par 3s, there's 2 par 3s in this tournament that you can go in there with the best of intentions and walk out with a par. And I think the one with the mounded one that's in the middle is definitely a hole that people are going to screw up on. But this hole right here, what's going to eat people's lunch on this is that sand, because they're going to set their shot up during the week where they're really close to the sand in order to make up the distance to the cup, And then on the days where the wind's blowing over the sand, it's coming from the right to the left, and they have to pull over the sand, they're going to screw their adjustment up. And there's going to be, it's not going to be a huge percentage of the people in the bracket, but there's going to be a percentage of people in the bracket that screw that hole up. And I'd rather not be in that group. Hole number 8. The other thing is when you're playing these, you got to pick your battles. That's not my favorite hole in the game. Like, can you work it out so that you could get a hole-in-one on that? I'm sure you can. I'm sure there's somebody out there that's like, dude, I get a hole-in-one on that every time I play it. Every time I hit perfect. And more power to them. But there's other holes in this that I think, especially the par 4s, like we can get eagles on these par 4s. Now earlier today, for some reason, I was thinking that we could get in front of this and just go right at it, but I was like way short unless I brought out a big ass ball. Maybe I was back here and I was getting my second bounce to come there, and I was just trying to hit it straight. Because in the past, what I've always done is I've always come out here and did a max curl shot, which is, there's benefits and there's drawbacks to it, because you got to pick the right spot out here in order to get your curl to become effective. And then you got to, if you're not in the right spot here and you run too much topspin, you could run off or be short. I was watching my opponent when I practiced, and I remembered the shot that Dunner and I were playing on this hole the last time we played it. And what we were doing is we were bringing out a power 5 ball and trying to get over to here and trying to get bounce number 1, bounce number 2, and then bounce over and clip that rough and then bleed out right there. And if you're in that spot, you are in the cat bird seat. You are in it. The other way to do it is you can come out into this area and try and get bounce number 1, bounce number 2, and then bleed it off out into here so that you're off on this side and you shoot it in. If I was taking this shot to come over here, I would try and utilize this area right here and try and bring it around, as opposed to trying to come over the sand and hit that little teeny G-string rough area right there. This gives you a little bit more leeway. But the problem with trying to pound it down there and do that is that it works great when the wind's on this side of the fence. But when you have wind on this side of the fence, you're going to have to change your shot. So then you go into the tournament with one shot on tailwind days that you practiced and one shot on headwind days. And on the headwind days, you're going to lay it up and do the shot coming in. And if you haven't practiced that shot, so you really need to have numbers for both. If you can get down in here, there is a rough bump that you can do to go right at the cup, and it's a beautiful rough bump. You can give yourself a shot. I think that the consistency of this shot, even though if you could get over here, it's almost a gimme, you can only do that on days that there's tailwind. What do we have today? We have tailwind today. Oh, let's try the pound it over shot. I really just want to just lay it up down there and practice that shot. And that's what I'm going to do. We all know what it looks like when you pound it down there and you try and do the thing. Let's just try and get it. Let's just try and get consistent. Let's go. All right. I go first. All right. I only need about 2.5 to pull back just a little. Three, 4. I'm at the +3 mark. 2 rings off. 3.4. There's 3-4. Max curl. Hitting it perfect. We'll see what that spot looks like. I could have put on just a little teeny bit more topspin. The deal is if you get too far down in there, you kind of take the rough bump out of play. So You got to decide if you want to do the rough bump. You don't want to get all the way to the bottom on the right hand side, because now you're in a, and I might be too far down in there where the rough bump is out of play. You want to be kind of more on the left hand side, and it's hard to be deep on the left unless you go straight at it. So if you're coming in on curl like this, like maybe dead center middle, will give you a good angle at the rough bump. We'll see what it looks like. I'm not sure with the Kingfisher if I have enough topspin to get me up there. I don't. So I'm going to have to take the shot straight up. There's max. There's min. So I'm right at mid club. So it's 1.6 per ring. So 2.6 divided by 1.6 is 1.62, and that's as close as I can get. So I'm going to do 1/8. If I can get off in time. Oh, and I got it. Fuck, I hit it great. Arrgh. It was 1.62, and I added on 1.5, 0.1.5. I tried to do a, let's see what that would have been, times 1.1 times 1.2 times 1.15. That's probably like a 15% adjustment from down there, the way I moved that. And of course I didn't hit it perfect, so we don't know. I think there's a great opportunity. I think the deal is the consistency wise, if you want to make this whole round after round after round, is hitting it down there to the bottom. I mean, I always like to get right off the green if you can help it on a par 4, but I think round after round after round. The shot doing the trying to get over is a max OP shot, and you know, while you may hit that 7 out of 10 times, you really need to practice it and practice the shot that I just did. So today we got great wind for the max overpower, bring out a power 5 ball. So today is one of those days you might want to blow some practice tokens and really practice that hole, so you can get it locked in if you've got good wind days, and then try the shot, the other shot. All right, hole number 9. Hole number 9. And when I did the walkthrough, this was not the hole that was on here, but this is the hole. And I was thinking that we were hitting down in here, but it is a different hole. We're actually hitting over to this fairway. So in this area right here, which is where our landing zone is, you can get all the way here to the tip with a 3-power ball. But I think as far as like in your shot, let's pull back a little so we can get the tee box. If we're going from the tee box out to this area, we're trying to make up this angle at the very end. I think you can, but you probably won't be able to run a lot of topspin, or you might roll off. I pulled back. And the other thing about hitting down here at the bottom is it's kind of where it rolls down, and it seems like it's lower than this, so your bounce might not be consistent going over. And if you're hitting like halfway here off this hill face, then what it wants to do is it comes down and hits the hill face, and it takes a flat bounce. I pulled back quite a bit and ran a lot of topspin, so that I was hitting on the top of the hill, so that my second bounce was a real bounce. Okay, hold on. All right, I'm going to talk to a man about a horse. You're going to see a lot of people hitting out into this area, and I am not a fan. Number one, if you get screwed up out in this area, you may not be able to recover. Not that you could recover if you get screwed up out in this area either, but if you get screwed up over here where you didn't get the angle right and you get screwed up in this area, you can at least get over to the green side. You might not be able to get on because from out here, it is sniper's first bounce is right there. So if you had a Nirvana, you're looking at maybe being able to lay it up here and then recover. So if we do that kind of arc, you're definitely outside of the recovery zone here. You might be able to get a bounce here and then run it up, but this hole can eat your lunch. All right. What do I want to do here? We're going to bring an APOC and a Kingmaker. This is one of those holes where we can get all of the side spin and all of the top spin on. And I think if I pull back far enough, hold on, let me clear off a chest. I can't believe I won 4 of the holes. That's amazing. Did I get a big topper right there? I did get a big topper. I did. I'm getting close on that big topper. I'm only 7,000 more away. What? 84 away. At 3 a day, that's I only have another year and I'll have that thing maxed out. I got that going for me. What's funny is the last 4 or 5 tournaments, I haven't gotten any big toppers in my tournament chests, and I've gotten a lot of big toppers over the years. I've gotten really lucky and gotten a lot of big toppers over the years. That's why it'll end up being, I'm really pushing for it to be the very first epic that I get maxed out. It gets its final little gasp of distance. It goes to 230, and it's already a player when it gets to level 7 and it gets to 225, but when it gets to the 230, it's really a player. Because there's a lot of times with the extra mile, or whatever club you have that's your big driver that's got the most top spin. There's a lot of times with your extra mile that you pull back from the red line and then you're starting to get into your big topper range. But having a big topper that's only 7 yards less in distance, it's going to open that window up. There's going to be a lot of holes that the big topper is going to become the club to hit. And they're short shooting. A lot of people, when they do these max curl shots, they short shoot and they don't realize it. That's going to be a popular landing area over there. All right. There's Max. That's pinched up. You probably could take that with a katana. There's not a really good area to mark there. I usually like to use the bowl numbers, like you're at plus 12 or you're moving back to plus 6. Hitting it perfect. See if I was too far back. Get the first bounce in the fairway. I should have a nice sniper shot to the cup. And they can recover from down in there. That's good. That's good to know. That is really good. You can get yourself right out there in front. Give yourself a nice little chip. Don't do anything crazy because you got sand and you got rough. Hey, it's better to recover than it is to get yourself into because it's so easy in this game to go from the rough to the rough. Whew, they got out of it. And it's just more important to put yourself in a spot like that where you can recover. got way down in it. Way down in it. .9, I'm at minimum club. 3.9 divided by 1.2. 3.25 rings. I'm going to try a straight up shot to begin with. 3.25. There's 3 1/4. Oh, fuck, and then I hit a great. But if I was going to hit a great one way or the other, that's probably the way. And it was definitely great. Perfect way. I might have been. Who knows what a perfect way to look like? Who knows? We'll never know. So if you use an Imbringer, you need to find out where you're at in your club so that you can properly adjust it, because there is an adjustment even from that distance. And like right there, they're barely in the cup. We've got a headwind, and it's pushing them to the left. I would definitely want to know where I'm at in my club. They are overshoot. They are rubbing the nub, so they are putting a little teeny bit of power on it. Eagle. They recovered. Roll out some topspin. Sure I'm looking right at it. In the hole. In the hole. All right. Got some good practice rounds in. I'm getting my drives, and I've got what clubs and what balls I want to hit as far as the shots that I want to take and where I want to take them. Now what I need to do is get around where I really put that stuff together and I can start working on the shot to the cup. So in the opening round, I got 2 sides. Now I know where I want to put each shot, how I want to take it. I still have one of the holes. I took the shot for you guys today. Like this hole right here, I'm definitely doing the shot that I just did. I'm trying to get out here, and so I'm bringing an APOC and a Kingmaker and a sniper, and I'm working on this. Now I need to start working on the sniper shot. I need to go back and watch the video and kind of get an idea, find some landmarks out here with that APOC, because I pulled past 0. So I think it starts off at like plus 16, and then I'm pulling it back, and usually I use these numbers to kind of set me up on some of the shots, but here I've actually pulled way back. I could probably use my QB or my rock, but I think my APOC's got more topspin, and I really want to get out into that area, and it's got a lot of curl. So I'm going to have to find some marker out here so that I can get this landing zone consistent. And the one thing I did notice is that I was 2 rings off, and I usually like to set max curl shots up with 3 rings off, at least 3. And so I still have a little bit of work to do as far as like making sure I get a consistent landing zone on this hole. Hole number 8. This is another one of those holes where I'm going to do the curl shot coming up with an APOC to try and land out into this area, but I don't really want to get all the way to the end. I think if you get all the way to the end, your angle to the cup. And one of the things too is that in this account I have a Kingfisher in this account that I use. So if I want to do the rough bump, I'm going to have to change clubs. But if I'm going to keep the Kingfisher on this hole, then I definitely need to get all the way to the bottom, because then it shortens the shot up and it gives me a straight up look at it, and I don't have to contend with the rough. But if I want to use the rough, I need to switch to a Hornet or some other club so that I've got enough topspin to get me to the hole. And if that's the case, right here is a better spot, because then I have a better view of the rough. I think I'm going to stick with the Kingfisher and just try and get deeper down in the hole. Hole number 7. I'm going to probably play that with a Katana and my Guardian and try and go at it, but what I didn't like was that I set up 2 rings off of this sand, because any day the wind's going like this, then you have to contend with the sand. I really wanted to be more out here and bring it around, but in order to do that, I'm either going to have to involve the dastardly word curl, or I'm going to have more side spin, like a 4 or a 5 side spin ball. Which means you could bring out one of those I could bring out one of those 0 power 5 side spin balls and try and bring me around. Plus, what it does is it lengthens my distance to the cup, which means I don't have to use as much backspin. And so the sniper might be a better club for this, because if I could get out here and I could lengthen it out instead of using 5 or 6 backspin, I might only have to use 4, and then I could still get my tail. Hole number 6. I demoed the shot going this way, but I'm going to take the max overpower hook shot going this way with a katana and a rock. And you can set this shot up because of where you're at. You're definitely not at the max club with a katana. Even with a katana, you're not max club. You can set this shot up with a QB. It's all about how much curl your club's got. So you'll have to adjust your landing sight out here based off how much curl your club has. But I'm going to do the max overpower hook shot because you can get right off the green and have a either putt or a short chip, as opposed to a max club chip like I had from out here. The thing I don't like about this shot out here is that you could end up on this hill face, and when you're taking the shot coming to the cup, your ring set's like little. And I like my ring set where it's big when you're making an adjustment, because then you can make a much more accurate adjustment. Hole number 5. Hole number 5. I'm going to, man, we got a lot of these blind curl shots here. With the APOC, I used a big topper in my odd account. And with the big topper, I gave myself 3 rings of separation off of this, and I had to do max OP in order to get the distance that I needed with a 3 power ball, and they ended up right down here in the perfect zone. But if you use an APOC, you still got the curl. You don't have as much topspin, but you don't have to do any overpower. You can get up in the zone without doing any overpower. But I didn't. It has so much more curl. I didn't give myself enough room. I gave myself 3 rings, but I should have gave myself 4, and I ended up here. So I need to push that shot out. But I'm going to take an APOC and a sniper, power 3 ball, 3 side spin, that whole bit. And I think on this hole, if you've got headwind days where we got to use overpower, this is a hole that we might want to bring out a power 4 ball. And we're not necessarily trying to get ourselves any deeper into this hole. You kind of need to find a spot out here, and you're going to be in the same spot with the power 4, but you're bringing out the power 4 so that you can work out wind without having to do any overpower. Hole number 4. Yeah, this is definitely a hole. If the cup is here, I would rather end up in front of the cup short and be working to try and get it into the hole, as opposed to going long, because it can go sideways if we go long. And this is definitely a difficult par 3. This is a par 3 that we can get in trouble on. So I'm not saying I want to play it safe, but I want to be tight to the cup so that if I don't go in the cup, I'm just right there. I'm not rolling off. So I'm going to find myself during the week being short on this hole a lot. I would rather be short on this hole than long. And you're not going to hear that from very many guys where they'd say they'd rather be short than long, but that's the deal. That's how it works on this hole. Just this hole. Hole number 3. Rock, Kingmaker, get down in here, sniper to the cup. This is one I'm already ready to start working on the adjustment to the cup. And it does break, so if the cup's here and you're coming to the hole and you're going straight at it, you're going to miss it to the right. It does break right at the very end, so you've got to work that break. You got to look at your ball guide and work that break into it, and you're going to start off a little bit left of the cup and let it break into the cup. And then we just need to work on the numbers. Hole number 2. Hole number 2. There is a rough bump here, but man, I just think there's too many times that rough bump is dangerous. I'm going to do the shot from right here and just try and bring it around. And I really think that probably the Katana is the best way to go. You need the side spin to pull you around. This is another one of those holes, if you got a low wind or a low power 4 side spin ball, that it could kind of help you. These par 3s are tough. These are not your typical, hey, we got. I mean, it's not that you can't get hole-in-ones on them, but these aren't the easy par 3 hole-in-ones. This is our best opportunity on a par 4 to pick one up right at the very beginning of the round. Big Tapa, Kingmaker, 3 rings of separation, 1 less than max topspin. Okay, trying to get right out there. And for whatever reason, in the past, when this hole first came out, we always did -10 to the cup. But right now, we're just doing +0. We're just doing a straight up, wherever you're at in your club, just hit it straight up, go right at it. And it's better to be farther down in here than it is to be right here, because if you're right here, you got to contend with the hill going up to the green. Whereas if you're here, you can start off on the fringe and go right at the cup. All right, everybody have a great week. I think we have opportunities here. So 14, 15, 28s to 30s. I think in the weekend round, we're probably going to be looking at the 30s. People picking up. I think picking up 2 on a side is going to be what we're looking for. I think this might be one of those 29 weeks where, like, if you can get a 29, there's a lot of opportunities on a lot of these holes to screw up on your drive and end up dropping a shot. So really focusing as the week goes on playing minimum score and finding out which holes that you're the strongest on and really trying to work those holes, like hole number 1. These par 4s, I think we have opportunities. Some of the par 5s, we can put ourselves in the right position and take a great sniper shot to the cup. Trying to pick up 2 to 3 per side. If we pick up 2, that's 28. Pick up 3, that's 30. 29s. I think 29s might be a winning score, or at least put you in the hunt. The reporters might rush you when you walk off the fairway on hole number 18 if you shoot a 29. So that's what we're looking for. Thanks for watching. Everybody have a great week. I will see you on Thursday for the opening round. I got both my accounts qualified now, and we'll see what happens. Thanks for watching.